Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so privileged and honored to be here and to stand here to share my story with all of you. My name is AICHA ZOUINE. I was born in 1992 in a small, isolated village in Benin. My father was a farmer and my mother was a housewife. Both my parents, they never been to school. I was my parents' fourth child and third daughter. When I was around 4 or 5 years old, they told me that when I was born, my father was expecting a boy and he didn't want to have another daughter. And he argued with my mother for not having a boy. So hearing this story in a very young age made me feel like I was unwanted and hated for being a girl. So I started comparing myself with my little brother who was 2 years younger than me. And I started feeling that gender discrimination from a very young age. So I had to find my place and to challenge my brother. Like when my brother started going to the mosque, I wanted to go too. But the mosque was only for boys. So I had to wait until I turned 6 so I can go to school. When I turned 6, I told my father that I have to go to school to study. But my father, every time he told me, we will go later, and because he was busy all the time, and they got mad of waiting, I took the family's book and they went to school to do the registration by myself, because the primary school was near to our place. So I entered the school, to the administration, and they spoke to the teacher directly. He said to me, what do you want? I said, I want to study. And he looked at me like this and he said, you are too late and there is no more place for you. Come back next year. I was deceived. He deceived me because things didn't turn out the way I thought it would be. So I came back home and I waited until the following year. And then the following year I turned 7 years old. And I went to do the registration with my father. I was lucky because the teacher I met a year before, he wasn't there. He moved to another town. Otherwise, he would told me that I'm too old to study. So we start the year, my first time at primary school. I was 7 years old. The primary school, which is the beginning of everything, the beginning of our future, the hope that we had for a different, better life. We were around 40 students. Only 5 of them were girls, because people there send only boys to school. The reason why they don't send girls, because they said that girls eventually will get married. And by sending them to school, it will be just a waste of money and time. So I studied hard, and they helped my father, and they helped also my father with the cows and the sheep. And I had to prove to my father and also to the teacher that there is no difference between boy or girl, so that both can be successful either at school or at home. So when I finished the primary school, we were only 2 girls left from 5. And I knew that my father would not let me to sleep at time, to wake up at time, to cook for myself, to study alone, and this wasn't easy. I remember that many times I got harassed by the schoolmates and the outsiders, but I couldn't complain, because if I did, it will be a good reason to my father to take me home. So 1 year after that, my parents started receiving marriages offer from people who want to marry me. But every time I refused. Even whole family was trying to convince me that being a married woman is better than studying and fighting and living away from my parents. But I didn't listen to them. They also tried to convince my father to make me do it, to make me drop out of school. But I was determined because I knew that my education is the only weapon and the only key if I want a better life and a better future. So, I remember that once I kicked out a woman from our house because she was trying to convince me to marry her son. She was trying to convince me to marry her son. She was saying to me, look, I know what is better for you. You are young. Why you are like this? By the end, you will get married and have children. Why you are wasting your time and wasting your parents' money and your parents' energy? So then when I decided to make from myself my priority in my life, and self-discovery was the best gift I gave to myself, because it has allowed me to grow in my own terms without someone else telling me how to. And by doing this, I became the person I wanted to be, rather than the person I was told to be. So, and since then, I had the same struggle with my family, with the society, with everyone, until I got my baccalaureate, and I moved to Casablanca to pursue my higher studies. And in 2015, I got my diplomate, and I found a job in Casablanca, and I started working. And after that, 2 years after that, I started working for the company I'm working for now. I'm a controller of liabilities in a big company. I have my life, the life I always dreamt about. I travel. I did my first half marathon. I climbed Topal twice, and I do horse riding. I learned to swim. I learned English. I'm living the life I always dreamt about. So, sharing my story with you today, it's not because it's unique, but because it's not. Because until today, many girls in countryside still suffer from the same thing. Still cannot go to school, still cannot say no to forced and early marriages, still cannot decide about their own future. So, today it's time to make a change, because girls in the countryside, they had no one to help them except us. Thank you.